My name is Peter Nash. I'm a visual artist based in Cork City. I have a studio in the Backwater Artists Group, and I'm also a member of Cork Printmakers, and I live out in Cove in East Cork. It was a bit of a long route, really. I suppose I always was an artist. Was always really interested in drawing and making when I was very young, and then through school got really into it, and I was very lucky with my teachers, kind of persuaded me to pursue it and kind of, give me directions, different artists to look at. And then I went and studied art when I was 16 in the art college, Cumbria College of Art and Design, as it was then. And that was a great experience to be kind of at 16 years old, to be out of school, just able to make art and to meet loads of different people and to be introduced to different methods and ways of thinking. Then I had 3 years of a BA down in Sheffield, which I finished in 2003. And then there was kind of a big gap in between that and 2015 when I came to Cork to study my Masters. Looking at my practice, what my research is about, a lot of it is about communication and how the ways we communicate and access and share information is changing, and how it has changed in my lifetime. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, before we had access to the internet and social media and mobile phones and all those kind of things. So I have this kind of analog sensibility, I think, where I found information in books, and that was kind of how I got information. And so I've always been drawn to that kind of aesthetic of like a reference book. My research now is about how those things have changed and how the ways we communicate have changed. Usually I'd start drawing. That's the first point, I think, because that's the quickest way of getting an idea, maybe out of your head, down, and kind of exploring it really quickly. And then it might be a case of, like, if I'm looking at a certain subject, maybe I'll find some more detailed imagery and I can make more detailed drawn studies. And then often it will develop then. It's like, okay, this has gone as far as it can go on paper. Now I need to start making. So then I can just start making and then see how it is off the page in 3 dimensions. And sometimes that might develop into a 3-dimensional piece, and sometimes those 3D experiments will inform the drawing or the 2D work, and it'll go back to being a 2D piece. But yeah, they do go kind of hand in hand. This work is called I Always Thought We'd Have More Time, and it's a series of drawings. I was invited to work with a group of students. They were first year business and economics students. The idea of the whole project was to do with UN sustainability goals, and one of the sustainability goals in particular was about climate change and biodiversity. And so we kind of had chatted and started to come up with this, I suppose, starting point of the economics of climate change. And so that then developed into a series of workshops that I did with these students. This piece started to develop, a little bit at a time. And as it was basically 2 weeks between each workshop. So I'd have like a week working in the studio on this. So I could kind of bring it to the students every other week, show them where I was with it, get their feedback and input, and then develop it like that. The very first session that we did, it kind of became apparent that there was a lot of anxiety around climate change and kind of fear, and which is totally understandable. That wasn't really what I'd set out for the project to be. But I had to take on board that that's the way these students felt. And then we wanted to make this piece, which was going to be this kind of survival guide for a future that hasn't come yet. And so then that was another discussion then about, all right, what are the things that you would like the next generation to know or to bear in mind? And so we came up with this idea of a kind of survival guide. We've taken this visual language from, like practical survival guides, nature, field study books, like, bird spotting guides, plant spotting guides, that kind of thing. And so using that, but then taking the imagery from there, but then changing the text and the messages in it so they could say something else. And that's then what this work became. I hope that people, when they encounter the work, I hope that they would maybe look twice at it. Like, I think that that's part of what I do as well. And like when I'm putting text into things and changing words, and just the fact that they're quite small and detailed drawings, I'd hope that that would draw people in, so that they'd look and maybe take a little bit of time studying the detail. And what message I'd like them to get from it is really to look, I think, like look around them a little bit more, kind of take in the things that are in front of us all the time.